This is What a Week.
What a Week. Politricks.
Eta, welcome to another episode of WAW What a Week, #Politricks, where the smoke never clears and the fire just keeps burning and burning. We've been doing this for over 2 years, and these flames get stoked every week.
My friend, good morning, fresh morning to the viewers.
Yes.
Let's try and clear the smoke.
There's no clearing the smoke.
Every time we try to extinguish the fire, there's fire erupting somewhere. But you know, there's something I wanted to raise with you. It disturbed me from last week, actually.
Yes.
We spoke it at the 938 FM studios the other day. And I don't know why, but the whole week it has been disturbing me. The issue about kids, not even teenagers, kids' pregnancies in the Eastern Cape. It has been sitting in my head the whole week. We spoke about it last week, Friday,
Yes.
when the news broke up. And I'm very disturbed, actually. And I can't make sense or come to a reasoning. Why should such things happen? Look, my last born, my youngest child is 8, turning 9 in November. And I'm just sitting there and imagining that girl.
Or the fact that someone would look at her and think, this is a child I would want to be in bed with.
Yes.
That in itself, it's almost like a sickness, I believe. And I'll tell you why it happens. It happens because there's never consequences. People get away with it. And even if it's another child who got them pregnant, it's the child who suffers. If it's an adult, they can come to the family and say, Ish, we're here. We're here to here's a cow. So the fact that even at a cultural level, we have remedies for it that are not true consequences at a cultural level, that in itself is a problem.
I'm very disturbed. You know, I think your first part that says for a person to look at a 10, 11, 12-year-old child
Yes.
as a sexual partner. I don't even want to talk about the pregnancy part. And the Eastern Cape government is reporting that on now the first 3 quarters of the school year, or the what do you call it, the calendar year,
Yes.
it's over 500. And last year it was thousands. It's normal that kids between the age of 10 and 14, they're at their prime puberty. And they get pregnant in hundreds, in numbers, and the society sees that as normal.
And a number I worry about it is that it's often adult men who do this. And I mean, I'll give an example. I mean, we were born in the 70s. And I mean, based on seeing some of my cousins that might have fallen pregnant or even contracted HIV at the time, we grew up in an era that was highly sexualized, where sex was rampant, sex was rife, but it was children having sex. It wasn't
kids
adults.
With kids. It was not adults with kids.
Yes, it was us ritalla.
Teenage pregnancies at high school and all that.
More often than not was us with other teenagers. Nowadays, it's grown-ass men who are looking at children and thinking, maybe.
You know, that disturbed me, my brother. But anyway, sorry for distracting.
But what do we do? What's the remedy?
I don't know. You know, you mentioned consequences, jail and prison and prosecuting of people. But I also think it must be harsh. It must not be taken as the family has accepted mulato. The government is statutory rape, first of all.
Yes.
It must be treated as statutory rape.
Yes.
But it's up to the communities. You know, there must be an education or whatever, something to be done to the communities in the Eastern Cape, because most of these things happen in rural areas. There must be, the provincial government, they must embark on an education process to families that such things, you don't welcome them, you report them to the authorities. And the authorities themselves, if the teachers at school, the police or what, or hospitals or nurses, they discover a child under the age of 16 in terms of the law being pregnant, they should go through that process.
Yeah, they must point out who made them pregnant. Yes.
Whether it's a chief or a priest or whoever, and it should not be, because for me this is very, very, you know, it's evil. Actually, there's nothing for me to describe it better than that.
We had Musi Maimane on my show last week.
Yes.
And we were talking about the crime situation. And the one thing he mentioned was the fact that crime is not just a policing issue. It's also a moral issue.
Exactly.
It's
Yes.
also a, can you have a bit of declone?
Yes.
Can you have a bit of shame in being seen doing certain things? And that societies that have less and less of that are more likely to have issues with whether it's a criminal offense or just an offense that you look at and you say, no, man, we don't do that. There's no shame anymore.
Yeah.
I'll give another example. My friend from childhood is Norwegian.
Okay.
His stepdad was from Norway, so he's lived in Norway since we were 14, 15. And he was visiting me 2 Decembers ago. And we're talking about just basic things like wearing your seatbelt or getting bust drunk.
Yeah.
He was saying, in our town, we know not to drive drunk because it's frowned upon.
Yes.
Something just as basic as
As
that.
basic as that,
That
yes.
in our society, we don't expect certain behavior. That is why you will find less and less people being caught driving drunk or without a seatbelt or jumping a red light or not letting pedestrians cross. And it's the basics that determine how high this thing goes.
And it comes from the society, from the people. I mean,
Yes.
many things. I don't know how many times I've had quarrels with people on the road, seeing, a lady or a guy driving with a child sitting in the front or standing on the seat.
They're standing
belt,
between the two seats there.
Yes, not
Hey.
even between the two seats, even in front, on the front seat. No belt, no safety, nothing for their own child. And for me, when I look, I think not only an accident, if this guy
death.
goes on an emergency
It's a
brake,
death. It's a death.
and that child goes through out the window and all that, or breaks his neck or her neck. I think our society, we need some form of moral regeneration as people in South Africa. And we need some form of, we must reflect. Like I said, this issue has disturbed me as if it has happened to one of my kids or one of my family members, but it has been on my mind the whole week. I'm trying to digest an old man like me having sex with a 10-year-old. That I can't even think a 15, 16, a teenager. I can't. Imagine a child. Because that little child, I mean, in these cases come from priests, chiefs, school teachers and principals. And I think, as you said, it's sickness. There's an element of sickness in it. I don't know what to call it. I'm not from the medical fraternity, but there's an element of sickness. But also, I was asking myself, why is it concentrated in the Eastern Cape, in that part of the world or the country? I don't say it should happen. It doesn't happen in Northwest, in Limpopo.
I think it happens everywhere. I think maybe just our numbers might be more jarring than other numbers, but it's happening everywhere. And it goes back to, like I was saying, that the sooner as society, as communities, we refuse to accept certain things as normal anymore, then the sooner they'll stop. And then police can focus on real crime. And not now have to be called to deal with issues that, as a community, we must deal with it. If Botsang steals a cell phone, Ramolata.
Yes.
When Botsang makes a 10-year-old pregnant, we kind of turn that. We look the other way. We look the other way. I'd rather trapang the person impregnating a 10-year-old, not the person stealing the cell phone. Because the person stealing the cell phone might be needing to buy a loaf of bread.
Exactly.
I'm not justifying any crime. But I'm saying, but if what trapang, I don't think the one sleeping with 10 years.
Yes, that means the life of that child permanently.
You know what I mean? But instead, no, we'll lynch mob and pour paint on someone who stole a loaf of bread. Because we'll sort of get like...
My brother, anyway, let's get to the topics of the day. What do you have?
The battle for Mkhwanazi.
Yes.
He must feel like the most popular girl in the playground right now. Eh?
Don't you think he's the most stressed person in the country right now? And Julius will say he brought this mess unto himself. But I must say to our followers and viewers, on radio on Monday, me and you, we had differences. Whether our EFF leader, Julius Malema, was right. People say we agree on almost everything. And on hindsight and reflection and listening to the ad hoc committee in Parliament debate, which happened on Wednesday, it ran for almost 2.5 hours, and listening to Julius Malema's explanation, why did he say Mkhwanazi must come and clear up his mess? He started it. I get to agree with you that you and Julius were correct to say he should not be negotiated with.
Yes.
Because it was not about, I've said and I'm still saying, the language that Julius used to say he must come and clear his mess. That's wrong for me. It's not a mess. But he created this mess. But Julius was actually saying, I listened to the committee debates, they were saying, or he was staying very firmly, and he was supported by Action SA and Mkhwanazi's party, to say the Commission of Inquiry in Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi's allegations against police and criminals in the country cannot supersede or be above that ad hoc committee of parliament.
Absolutely.
Because the ad hoc committee represents, it's a legal structure. Pardon me, it represents us as citizens. Those lawmakers, they are there to represent us. So that's what he was explaining. And I don't think Mkhwanazi is not cooperating, because the ad hoc committee actually, they didn't instruct him or invite him to come. They wrote him a letter, and the chairperson of the committee explained it clear and said they are legal advisors. They got it wrong administratively. They wrote him a letter to ask him about his availability. And he responded to say the Commission of Inquiry has booked him from the 17th until the 24th. And he has already started some engagements with them. And for me, my concern was, why would the Commission of Inquiry rush ahead of a structure that is already existing, that has terms of reference already? Because they spent the last 3 weeks, defining the terms of reference, how they're going to handle this whole thing. But the committee that did not have microphones, laptops, and gadgets to can start the commission, why did they rush to talk to Mkhwanazi outside the public space? And now we already learned that they've been engaging him, and we as the nation, we don't know why they were engaging. We don't know what they were engaging with, because like other commissions, that particularly this commission, it's supposed to be in the public space and public fora.
Yes.
We're supposed to know what are they discussing, what are they asking, why is it not aired? Why is it already cite, engagements with Mkhwanazi? But I think it will just be fair if the commission lets the committee to have Mkhwanazi first.
Do you think this back and forth battle might weaken public trust in these oversight committees and bodies?
I think it has already afresh. I think it has already weakened the commission itself. People have already started talking negatively and lost trust that the commission will deliver the desired results. But I also think it will impact the ad hoc committee of parliament, because there's back and forth. This back and forth. I mean, the president announced this thing at the beginning of August, and the committee had decided at the beginning, first week of August. We are already in mid-September, and the work hasn't commenced. They spent 2 weeks, that committee, doing the terms of reference. I understand they had to do the terms of reference because it's an ad hoc committee, it's not a standing committee. But I think the delays and also running these two parallel processes, it has created a negative impression on the people.
Is there? I mean, maybe I'm not understanding how these things work. But surely there's an ad hoc committee that already has terms of reference and the ability to probe this thing. Why not bring Madlanga into the ad hoc committee? And we have just one process.
Exactly. I agree with you. Look, remember, this is the first time such things happen. It's the first time we have an ad hoc committee of 3 parliamentary committees: the SCOPA, the Police and Justice Committee, as well as the Standing Committee on police. Separate committees, they've merged into one to ad hoc. So it's the first time. But I think your suggestion or opinion, it makes sense to me. That why are we running 2 separate processes with a commission that its findings are not binding? The secretariat of the commission actually, during the course at the beginning of this week, he briefed public. So by the way, whatever we will be doing and spending the 1.2 million, it is not binding. All we can do as the commission is to make recommendations to the president, and the president will decide what to do with that after 6 or 9 months or 1 year, like all other commissions. The ad hoc committee, because it's a statutory body in parliament, its findings will be binding. They can actually make recommendation to the National Prosecuting Authority or to the judiciary, and they are the judiciary. The part of the committee is the standing committee on the judiciary and criminal justice system of the country. So I think in a normal society, we could have actually merged the two and just have one process. It would have saved time, it would have saved money. Imagine a situation where 1 week a witness, and let me use Mkhwanazi in this instance, will be sitting in the commission in 1 week, and then in another week or 2 weeks after, he'll be sitting in parliament. Yes, the questions and the probing of a person differ from court to court or hearing to hearing or person to person. But what will be wrong if you find them sitting in under one roof and dealing with the same issue? Because we're dealing with the same thing here. And I think it's very clumsy the way the country is handling this. But, job creations, retired judges are going to walk away, and lawyers with a lot of money, millions in their pockets. There's going to be a lot of drama, a lot of news and airing. And I think the intended purpose of these inquiries, we are not paying attention to that.
Sure.
And that is to sort out the police system, to uproot criminal elements from politicians to judges or whoever may be involved or is allegedly involved in this whole thing. But my fear is, with this outside the jury, outside the court process, these processes may soil or taint what would become a court process after.
Yes.
And I said, it may prepare the criminals to say, oh, is this what is being discussed? Then they prepare their way out of the whole thing.
Sure.
And instead of us sitting in court and hearing, there's an allegation that Mr. X has committed this crime. We have a justice system in the country. Why are we not taking Mr. X to court, arresting and prosecuting? Why do we want to go and have an inquiry on the side to determine if Mr. X has committed that? Then after we make a recommendation to say, we now think Mr. X must be prosecuted.
Yeah.
Why do we go through that? Are we not having trust and confidence in our justice system? And for me, that's what it says. It says
Sure.
even government does not have confidence in its own justice system.
Speaking of the courts, 48 years and a day ago, they murdered Bantu Steve Biko.
Yes.
And yesterday in the Gqeberha High Court, they reopened the inquest.
The inquest.
Apparently, they're going to be looking at new evidence, etc. And we've been seeing, a trend just in terms of finally families might get closure or justice when it comes to apartheid deaths. What are your thoughts on the reopening of the inquest of the Biko death? I'll tell you why I'm asking this question. Because when they murdered him 48 years ago,
Yes.
they claimed he bumped his head.
Yes.
And then at the TRC, said officers said, we might have beaten up a bit.
Yeah.
And the TRC said, apply for amnesty. They applied for amnesty. They were denied amnesty.
Yes.
So already there's a case here.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on it being reopened to relook at certain evidence when the evidence is there? The accused are there.
Firstly, Fresh, we as black people in the world, we were robbed of the fount of black consciousness. We were robbed. That was pure robbery.
What an epic mind.
Every black person on
Yeah.
earth, when people talk of black consciousness, Stephen Bantu Biko comes to mind and nobody else. And that robbery could have been addressed immediately after the TRC. As you correctly say, the Truth and Reconciliation Committee exposed what actually happened. And people who applied for amnesty, they were denied amnesty. The National Prosecuting Authority, they should have exercised their rights at that time to prosecute those who stood up and said, because it was evident, what more evidence and information do we need at the moment when actually the matter was closed after the TRC? Those people should have been prosecuted. But my other concern also is, where are those people? Where are those policemen? Where are the judges that presided over Biko's...
That whitewash.
Yes, that whitewash thing. Most of them are dead. Some of them probably they are suffering from amnesia. You understand? And they don't even recall what happened. You failed to prosecute a person in 1996, 1997. We are sitting 30 years after. You want to go and prosecute. Maybe the Biko family says they want justice, or the Biko Foundation. Maybe the family wants that. But I am saying the family was denied justice by the state.
Yes.
You understand? And coincidentally, this pronouncement by the NPA and the deputy president of the country and the courts on the 48th anniversary of Biko's death. They're just major coincidence. I also think people like glory. In my view, this is going to glorify the current administration to say we did something. When you did something when, the term people always talk about justice delayed is justice denied. I don't see any justice in this whole thing. We know that the apartheid government murdered Steve Biko. We know that the policemen who arrested him killed him probably even in PE, not on the way, and they drove a dead body to Pretoria 48 years ago. And what more can we get out of this? Whom are we going to prosecute? Whom are we going to throw into jail? If somebody who's probably one of the survivors or the involved people, they're probably in their 80s or 90s. What value will it add?
It might add closure. It might not add any value that is tangible, but I may be able to close the chapter if I know that the person that killed my father or my partner or my uncle is in jail.
I don't know, Fresh. I've got a different view and different opinion about jailing people. I believe in an eye for an eye.
Okay.
And
so they must die.
If you are going to go and lock up and we as taxpayers feed some Mr. Ferjan Vermaak, who is 90 years old, and you put him in prison, it's going to cost the state even more money. He's probably sick, on medication, being in prison. Now we want to fund that person. I know we don't have a death penalty in this country, but I'm being reasonable and practical. And if I think justice was given, I think closure was given when those people confessed and they were denied amnesty. At that time, I'm sitting here and I'm saying,
it's still an open-ended situation if you're denied amnesty, but you're not going to jail or held accountable beyond whatever confession you gave at the TRC.
If locking those people up will make the children of Biko, including us, happy, then let it happen. But I'm simply saying, I'm going to fund that person who killed my father or my black consciousness leader, political leader. I'm going to pay taxes that will feed that person. For me, it makes matters worse. Yeah, it worsens the situation.
In fact, speaking of justice, President Bolsonaro of Brazil, former president,
yes,
Lula da Silva's government, I suppose, have thrown him in jail for 27 years and 3 months for plotting a military coup,
yes.
After he'd been voted out, and they're claiming that obviously we suppose there's evidence that he tried to negotiate with the military but failed.
Yes. I remember that whole process, or those whole allegations.
Yes. So 5 Supreme Justices presided over the case. 4 of them said he must go to jail, and then the one said he must be released. Is this a welcome development, looking at how things happen in other governments where there's no handover? Even Trump. The fact that Trump wanted to hang on to power, I feel he should be in jail right now.
Yeah.
That he literally on social media incited violence and encouraged his radical fan base to rise up. And they stormed the Capitol.
Yeah, look, he even faced other, charges and allegations for many other things. I welcome what transpired in Brazil because, I followed the politics there very closely. And I'm a great fan of Lula da Silva. But I think what the Brazilian government has done is to demonstrate to the Americans, because remember, the Americans, they had actually been backing Bolsonaro. They've actually put him into power, and he jailed Lula da Silva.
Yes.
Some people now may look at it and said, "Oh, Lula is returning."
Was Quincha?
Yeah, was Quincha. He's returning what was done to him. But what I like about this case is that it is not personal, because Lula was jailed for allegations of corruption and maladministration and all that. Now, you had a whole bench of the highest court of the land in Brazil, the federal court. And as you say, 4 of the 5 judges said the man must be jailed. My only concern is I want to see how America is going to react to
already Trump was unhappy about the fact that he's being tried in the first place.
Yeah.
He's even posted on his social media about how he feels it's an injustice and that there'll be consequences he's thrown in jail.
Yes.
So now we wait to see what these consequences are.
Well, I see tariffs and sanctions against Brazil. I think he's going to increase the tariffs. I think he may actually impose sanctions against Brazil, or maybe even try to severe diplomatic relations with Brazil, because Bolsonaro was an American creation,
Yes.
a very clear American creation, and you must also remember he came into power when Trump was in power, at the time. So yeah, they've got that relationship. But thumbs up to the Brazilians. They're actually demonstrating to the world. Many other countries in Asia have done it. That former leaders are jailed. Look, we have done it in South Africa. We jailed President Zuma, whether fair or not. But for me, it says nobody's above the law.
Sure.
Understand? If people have done wrong, and maybe President Zuma's example is a bad example, but I'm saying our prison doors are open for everybody if people do wrong. And thumbs up to the Brazilians for doing this. I mean, how do you lose power and you want to try and influence the military in order to come back to power? And remember, he also disputed his defeat at the time when he was defeated. And certainly, fresh, many people would not know. Brazil was a military state until the mid-70s. That's governed by the military. And you don't want that in one of the biggest democracies of the world, one of the biggest population of the world. You don't want the military to come and take over there in a country that is basically a peaceful country. Understand? It has other problems like crime and all that, but it's a very peaceful country.
Speaking of former presidents,
Yes.
former President Thabo Mbeki hosted the M23 rebels, Rwandan rebels allegedly supported by
Congolese rebels, man, not Rwandan.
Oh no, Congolese rebels
Yes.
with Rwandan backing,
Mbeki, yes.
allegedly.
Yes.
So I told President Mbeki and his foundation hosted them, and he also hosted a bunch of U.S. senators, the same bunch of senators who are agitating for sanctions against certain South African
Politicians.
ANC politicians.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on what's happening? Because surely this is a diplomatic issue. Because I know the Congolese are not happy about this either.
Yes. Look, first, again, we spoke about how the government or the Thabo Mbeki Foundation is running, a parallel telco, Department of International Relations and Cooperation. There's quite a lot happening. He didn't only host those MTs; they were part of the delegation. He had a seminar in Mkhwanazi City, somewhere in a resort in the West Rand or Rand West, and the M23 delegation were part of the participants in that seminar, which Mr. Ronald Lamola, the Minister of International Relations, was one of the speakers there, or one of the important people invited. The clumsiest thing that happened is Lamola did not know until he was at the event who were the other participants.
Sure.
I mean, what did the foundation do when you invite a speaker or a participant in an event like that? You normally communicate who are the other speakers or participants.
Yes, so you can plan around.
So you can plan around your
curating
Exactly.
based on who
Exactly.
else is on there.
Now, I think Lamola Geze is ambushed, and he finds that even his office, international relations as well, if they were not informed of the nature of the occasion and the participants, they should have asked before he accepts. They should have asked to say, but who will be the participants? The Congolese government is not happy. The United Nations is not happy about this whole thing because the UN has declared M23 inverted commas rebels as rebels who have committed crimes of humanity and all those things.
In fact, the DRC government are arguing that what you're doing when you invite them to whatever discussion is you're almost legitimizing
Yes.
people responsible for atrocities in our country.
And this event, it was not only about the Congo. If President Mbeki Foundation was going to argue that I'm trying to bring peace to talk to these people as a peacemaker, it was an all Africa Peace Initiative workshop or conference that his foundation holds on annual basis. You understand? So there cannot be any reason to could have invited them. I'm always the person who says fresh. When you negotiate, when you bring warring parties into a negotiating table, you must invite everybody who's fighting. But this platform or this event was not about peacekeeping in the Congo, where you will invite everybody. If it was that case, President Mbeki could argue that. But I think it was totally wrong. It was totally unacceptable that the TM Foundation had invited, that group without Derko knowing, without the country, because then what it does, it also has an impact on our foreign policy.
Yes.
Then what is our foreign policy saying that one of our local foundations, but all these foundations have done all these wrong things against the state, all of them. It's not only the Thabo Mbeki Foundation. The next thing is, we are at loggerheads with the United States of America at the moment. We know there was a bill that was presented by some Senate committee for the sanctions against some ANC leaders. But it was not only that. That bill they presented, they are actually even proposing that the USA must revise their diplomatic relations or bilateral relations with South Africa. That's some of the proposal. Now, those people have been refusing to meet the South African delegates. They have rejected our envoy, ABC Jonas. They don't want to engage with Terco. They are just pushing on. They actually would engage with AfriForum, the DA, as well as Solidarity instead of the government. President Mbeki's foundation goes and does exactly the same. Now, somebody may question me and say, why are you okay that Solidarity and AfriForum have done that?
Exactly.
And not President Mbeki's foundation? Why are you having a problem with that? I think we are also looking at President Mbeki with the eye that he's the former head of state. Understand? He's not a right winger. So probably he's trying to do this with good intentions.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
all I'm saying is his foundation could have done that in consultation with the Department of International Relations. You understand? Consult if you are doing something good for the country.
Sure.
You think you can save a situation. Engage the platforms that are relevant so that you don't talk parallel to the policy of the country.
But the horse has bolted because it's happened already.
Yeah.
Where they were talking about these U.S. senators or the M23 rebels, it's happened already.
Yes.
What's the way forward, and how do you fix this diplomatic fallout that is either happening or about to happen?
I think President Ramaphosa, together with the leaders of the foundation and President Mbeki and Mr. Lamola, they must sit in one room. I think the government must engage the foundation to say, we appreciate you wanting to help the country, but let us talk.
Sure.
If we are going to use the Thabo Mbeki Foundation to soften the Americans or to repair, in peacekeeping process or fixing relations, you use whatever you have at your hand. And the Thabo Mbeki Foundation must not be seen as hostile to the government. If it can be used, if it can be engaged, you say, but Mr. Mbeki, you are the former head of state. He's the former head of international relations in the ANC for many years.
Yes.
He's a very seasoned diplomat as a person. And I think he should be engaged to say, but sir, you and your foundation, you can't be conducting yourself in this manner. It is for good intentions, but let's find a way of doing it.
Would it be bad diplomacy for President Ramaphosa to call him out publicly?
That will be very bad.
Or to comment publicly?
It will worsen the situation. Look, it will. And President Mbeki will respond, will retaliate because he does that. He's very defensive when he's being questioned of his behavior. That will be bad diplomacy. He should not do it publicly. He should go and engage him, and they must come and brief us to say, we have found each other. This is how we're going to move forward for the best interest of the country. I don't think President Ramaphosa should lambast him. It will not help the country. You understand?
Yes.
It will worsen the situation.
Let's talk about what's happening with Palestine. Germany and Belgium back Palestine. Trump flouts a one-day peace deal. And the UNGA moves to Geneva because America have decided that some of you are not welcome at the United Nations. And my thought was United Nations is almost like a sovereign part of the U.S.
Yes.
And the U.S. should not be allowed to interfere in which delegates are allowed within the United Nations.
Yes. It's
And for me, it says then maybe the United Nations should not sit in America then.
It's long overdue.
If they're going to use their muscle and might to decide who's welcome at the United Nations. Because United Nations although many would argue, as well as the United Nations is not a tool for America, but many would argue that maybe it is. That's why they're doing nothing about what's happening in Palestine.
Well, it has been their tool. The USA, since the UN organization was formed many years ago, they've actually abused the United Nations. They've done it, remember the UNO came after World Wars.
Yes, after the League of Nations.
Yes. And they've used the United Nations in order to advance. First of all, they're abusing the Security Council, that league or cluster of the elite and so-called superpowers.
Yeah, but remember I've been saying that for me, until the Security Council serves everyone equally,
yes.
Why would we have one?
Exactly. So
and if the Security Council allows a certain a special club of people to be able to veto things, then they must run the Security Council.
Yes. So that's one part. But coming to the Palestinian issue, you are correct, Fresh. The United Nations organization structure in the US sitting there, it's supposed to be a state on its own, representing all the nations that are members of the UN. And whoever goes there or visits them is supposed to go there with a diplomatic immunity as the guest of the UN.
Yes.
And the same way as a country, when you have a diplomatic office, or an embassy, or a consulate, or a high commission, that building in that country, it's actually, for example, the South African embassy in Washington. It is the Republic of South Africa. That's why the South African flag gets hoisted there. And the United States of America is actually breaking the Geneva protocols with regard to the United Nations, and by refusing the representative of the Palestinian Authority, including representatives of Hamas, to can attend. And in this instance, it's not even Hamas, it is the Palestinian Liberation Organization authorities that are supposed to attend, for the benefit of the followers and the viewers, that are supposed to attend a United Nations General Assembly now, in a week or two. And in that General Assembly, one of the agenda items, it is the declaration of Palestine as a sovereign state. Now, you are refusing the leaders of Palestine to come and accept that declaration and saying they are hosting Hamas and all that. Now, the United Nations has decided, we are not postponing this, we're not going to fight with America. They've asked Switzerland, which is not a member of the UN, to host the General Assembly. Only this one.
Yes.
Let's go and have it there.
I think you should stay there. I think you should stay there.
I think they should stay there as well. I think the UN, I think the problem is going to be the funding, because America is already funding that building and all that. But I also think the United Nations must move its headquarters out of the USA to an independent country like Switzerland, which is not a member.
Yes.
So Switzerland will not have an influence on whatever happens there. But it's about time that the UNO moves out of the USA. And now they must go ahead. I'm just proud that they are not postponing this. They are going ahead with declaring Palestine a sovereign state. But something happened as well. You mentioned Belgium and Germany.
Yes.
The Germans are very upset with the Belgians. There is an orchestra that is performing in Geneva, not in Geneva, in Belgium. And it's a German orchestra that is conducted by an Israeli conductor. And the Belgians have said, we are not allowing that. It's not going to happen because of the position that Belgium has adopted against Israel. And I also said, good.
Yes.
I don't understand why the Germans are crying and all that. Yes, it's their orchestra, but why are they using an Israel conductor when Germany is very well known to be having some of the best orchestral conductors in the world? I mean, I think Belgium is right. They've taken a very strong position. And Belgium is also the seat of the EU.
Ah, yes.
Understand? The EU has taken a very strong position in regarding the what Israel is doing to the Palestinian people. So I don't understand why the Germans, with the history they have on Holocaust, they don't see anything wrong in associating with the Israeli people. Somebody may say, but there's Jews in Israel and there's Zionists. But look, it's Israel. It's their country. They are citizens, they are residents, they pay taxes. So they are actually complacent to what their military is doing. If the South African military decide to start bombing Lesotho or the kingdom of Eswatini, the people of Eswatini, when they start hating us, We cannot say no, but we are South Africans. That's the government army. That is our army. We must own up to it. So whatever Israel is doing to any country in the world, any, not only Palestine, it is the people of Israel who are doing it because that army represents them. I know there has been protests in Israel by civilians to say we don't want this anymore, but I think they can do more. Vote the government of Netanyahu out of power, make protests, shut down the economy. The army itself, again, I look at Israel army people and I ask myself, are they normal human beings?
No, they're not.
You know, when
I think they're brainwashed. They've been indoctrinated to believe that they're the chosen people and that Palestinians are less than human. In fact, Palestinians are animals and they should be eliminated.
But that's what I'm saying. A normal human being, especially a soldier, a military person, would not shoot at a defenseless child walking the streets. You know, they've killed so many people so many times in so many years that I don't think they know anything else in their minds despite killing. And those are not human beings themselves. I don't think members of the Israel Defense Force are human beings. You know, if somebody can tell me that there was some injection that was produced in the laboratory, they were injected with some drug to behave the way, I would believe that. Because a normal human being, you arrive at a certain point. You know, when you are in a battlefield and you kill people, you will say, but I was in a battlefield.
Yes.
But how do you kill defenseless people and you are still normal? You still sleep and eat every day.
Shooting and killing children.
Yes. So I think thumbs up to the Belgians. All these things are happening very late, but thumbs up to them. Israel has to be boycotted by all means necessary.
Earlier this week, I think there was a FIFA World Cup qualification between Israel and Italy.
Yes.
And we're told the Israeli soccer players were complaining that every time they were marked by the Italians, they'd either swear at them or taunt them. And I remember I commented on the post, and I tagged FIFA. And I'm asking FIFA, why are these people still allowed to compete?
Yes.
Well, if you guys are about fair play, if you guys are about justice, and if you are wanting to walk your talk, why is this country still allowed to compete with other nations when they're clearly genociding and trying to eliminate and ethnically cleanse Palestinians out of the Gaza?
Actually, you may even extend that. The countries like Italy,
Yeah.
why don't they boycott that feature to say, we are not going to, other countries, they must refuse to play with Israel.
You know, the problem is, unfortunately, unless every nation stands behind the same cause to say we're all not happy with this country playing in a FIFA World Cup, the minute Italy don't participate, they're going to lose the points and eventually not arrive there. So it's almost like a double-edged sword that do we stand on the right side of history and not participate and end up being the only ones who are not there? Or does every nation that could potentially be there say, in this group, we are not participating?
Exactly, but that's the standard. Somebody must start somewhere. You are saying if all nations, and you are mentioning a group,
Yes.
let's say it's Group F of the FIFA World Cup qualification. Members of that Group F, those countries, they should be able to say to FIFA, we are not going to play with these murderers. It starts there. The EU or NATO has taken a decision to boycott or to ban Russia due to the occupation of Ukraine from participating
Double
in
standards.
international sports. Why is that not being done with Israel? When there is a UN resolution there's a UN resolution, there's a court that South Africa, process in the ICJ. And why are those tools not being used to approach these countries and say, can we boycott Israel? Can we ban Israel? They've done it during the apartheid South Africa, where South Africa was not participating in any international event. And you ask yourself, why the same countries that are doing it to Russia, that did it to the apartheid South Africa, not doing it to Israel?
Sure.
And it shows to me the power that Israel has over many countries in the world. I don't know how did they amass that power, but for me, it is very clear that Israel has power over almost every government in this world. Because even the ones that we may think should naturally be enemies of Israel, and I mentioned China, North Korea, Russia, and some of the Arab states that are seen as enemies of Israel, they still do not exercise their muscle
Yes.
towards Israel. You understand what I'm saying? The little countries that are on the opposite side of the state of Israel, the Zionist state of Israel, they are not demonstrating that this person is our enemy.
Yes.
And you can start by boycotts, consumer boycotts their goods, sanctions, and all those things. Nobody is doing anything to against Israel in the world that will impact. I mean, the Republic of South Africa went, for example, we closed their embassy, chased them away. We went to the ICJ. Why is South Africa not issuing a statement or instruction, pass a bill that says no Israel products or companies in the Republic of South Africa? Why are we not doing it? We can start somewhere.
Because we've kicked the ball into play.
Yes.
We might as well go all the way.
Yeah, we chased the ambassador away, but we still welcome their. If you go to Woolies, you find Israel products, avocados and grapes and all. Why are we doing that as a nation? Why are we not taking a decision that we are cutting trade? If you cut diplomatic relations,
Yes.
if you take them to the Criminal Court of Justice or International Court of Justice, why are we still having their products in the Republic of South Africa? We must even go to an extent of saying Israel passport carriers are not welcome in our country. For me, if we can arrive at that stage, I will say our process of going to the ICJ is justified. But we can't, go for soft things. We are going to court to say these are murderers, these are apartheid pushers and all that.
But they're welcome in our country.
But they are welcome in our country. That's double standards we are playing as well.
Netanyahu often argues about how Mkhwanazi just want peace. That they're victims.
Yeah.
In fact, the other day, Netanyahu was blaming the algorithm, that the algorithm is anti-Israel, and that they must maybe get influencers to counter this bad PR they're getting. And unfortunately, that PR that they're getting right now is directly proportional to the atrocities that they are meting out on the people of Gaza. And for a nation that want peace, over the last 48 to 72 hours, they bombed Tunisia, Qatar, Lebanon, Syria, Latakia. They carry on in Gaza with the heavy bombardment. In the West Bank, they've tightened restrictions, and they also have siege-like measures, even killing 2 children in Jenin over security incidences. This is all in the last 72 hours.
Yes.
This does not sound like a nation that wants peace. And the fact that you're saying, let's negotiate a deal, and Hamas go to Qatar
To negotiate.
let's look at the deal, like we're negotiating.
Yes.
And then you send your jets to bomb the very same people that you're saying, let's talk. Because we want our hostages, you want your hostages,
Yes.
and we need a lasting solution. I don't think they want peace.
I don't think so.
And I'm increasingly starting to believe that the talk of a greater Israel, a project that includes taking even more land beyond Gaza, is starting to make sense to me based on their actions.
It does. You're 100% correct. Israel has never wanted peace at any stage since its existence in 1947, 1948. They've never wanted peace with any other country, because it's not even the attack on Palestine. You have mentioned about 7 countries that this past week Israel has attacked or bombed. And ironically, Fresh, the Israeli Defense Force is using America-supplied weapons, whether it's jets, whether it's bombs or drones or what. So for me, it is actually the United States of America in war with all those countries.
No, but Trump,
because they are the ones who owns the weapon.
Yeah, but Trump said, I was not even aware. I was told as the thing was happening. That's his claim.
I don't believe President Trump is telling the truth. He's lying through his teeth.
But he lies about everything.
Yeah, that's Americans lie about almost everything in life. The politicians there. But I'm saying the first step is for Israel to can penetrate and bomb those countries. They are using military equipment supplied by the Americans.
And flying over Saudi airspace.
They fly over, yeah.
And you're also approaching probably the biggest American army base outside of the US in Qatar.
They've got 10,000 military personnel with boots on in Qatar.
Which means the radar facilities in that area are wild.
It's supposed to be the best.
So there's no way they did not know that these jets are coming to bomb Qatar. There's no way.
Because they are guarding their own personnel. There's no way that President Trump and his military people did not know that they have own jet and F-16 that they have supplied to the Israelis carrying bombs is going to bomb a building where a meeting, supposedly a peace meeting, is supposed to take place. The meeting that the people of Qatar and the sultans, they have, initiated to say, we'll house these people to come and negotiate a peace deal. And America claims that it's them who have been pushing that. You remember at the beginning of this week, Trump actually gave both parties 1 day to can reach a peace deal and all that. Now, on the day they're supposed to sit and peace deal, they go and they bomb at the same building where the deal is supposed to happen, and lives gets lost there. I think what Israel and the USA wanted to do was to wipe off the entire Hamas, leadership that was supposed to be in that building. Because when there's such negotiations, you will normally, pardon me, you'll normally send your main leadership, your best team. But you know that they've killed them before. They've killed them in Iran.
Yes.
They've killed the Hamas leaders at some stage. They bombed Jordan. They've attacked them in Saudi Arabia and also in Egypt during peace negotiations. Over the years, they've done that. And you sit here and people want to tell us that there must be a peace settlement in Israel. There'll never be a peace settlement there. Israel wants to wipe off the state of Palestine. And ironically, this happens during the time when the United Nations is considering to declare Palestine a new member of the United Nations, an independent state. No, they don't want that. I think your observation in saying now they actually want to take more of the entire Palestine, Gaza and any other area. They are pushing for that.
There's I'm trying to remember her name. She's a South African woman who's very pro-Palestine or Free Palestine. And I think she was part of those ships, the flotilla that were trying to break this blockade.
Yes.
And she made a video. And in that video, she said that you need to also start timing these things. Whenever Israel attack someone or something, normally Netanyahu is also busy on the other side. So it's almost like a distraction.
Yes, okay.
Because literally hours apart, Netanyahu was talking about how this is a final warning or something, that the people in Gaza must evacuate Gaza City. 1 million people are meant to evacuate and go away. And go away.
Yeah.
And go away.
Actually, I forgot the name of the lady. I listened to an interview. She was on one of the radio stations with one of the delegates of the people who went there. It's Mandla Mandela. And of course, Mandla Mandela was part of that delegation. And those ships were coming from various countries, especially the North Sea. And look, we don't know. Israel may end up bombing them.
No, they will.
They were denied access.
In fact, what this woman was saying was, you must watch how when they attacked one of those boats.
Yes,
because one of the boats was attacked with a drone.
Yes,
and that's the time when they that statement was made. And she was saying that often some of the acts of aggression are just distractions, so that our attention is there while
they're doing this on the side. That's how Israel operates, bro. That's how it operates. But the world has allowed Israel to do all this. We have allowed it fresh. I've used examples of what our country can do. It may be a drop in an ocean, but we are doing something. Maybe all other countries may follow. Go into court, it's fine. Go through those processes. Go into the UN, it's okay.
But walk your talk.
Walk your talk. Do something. Let us be practical on the ground. And I said, even us, I when I go, I'm very observant on what I purchase in shops. I don't buy anything. Even when it's a rumor, it's the truth. Anything that's associated with Israel, I don't want it in my space. And imagine if the billions of people in the world can start doing that. Isolate these people. You understand? Isolate even the noble citizens of Israel. I've got a friend who just went to Israel to bury their mother the other day. And we are very close. And I'm sitting there and I'm saying, I cannot hate this person because of what their government is doing, although she's South African. But the people of Israel must be isolated. The inhabitants of that country must be isolated. And only after we do that, like we did with apartheid, a white settler racist people, they were isolated, by many countries. Not all, because they could still travel to Britain, they could still travel to the USA, but they were not welcome in many countries. Many countries stopped sending their products to South Africa or accepting South African-made products. And those, what we call it, sanctions, those kind of trade and economic sanctions, they worked, and they can make a difference.
Sure, embargoes, sporting embargoes, cultural embargoes.
Yes.
All of those apply enough pressure that people may reconsider other ways.
That the people in Israel will rise against their government to say, we are having enough now from the world. We are part of the global society. Let's stop this whole thing.
A lot of the things happening in the world lately are bringing out the conspiracy theorist in me. Because generally, I'm not a conspiracy theorist.
No, you don't like conspiracy.
Generally, I'm not. Yeah. Generally. But for instance, it was 9/11 commemoration 2 days ago. And, one of the big stories has always been that 9/11 was allowed to happen.
Yeah.
And that Mossad might have had a role to play.
A role to play, yeah.
And that based on how the Twin Towers came down, it looked more like a controlled explosion. Then jets hit the buildings there,
on top,
but it came down here.
Yes.
And when you look at when you're joining the dots and looking at what is plausible, there's no way they didn't know this was coming. There's no way.
I'm glad that you're arriving at those points.
And even the Charlie Kirk assassination a couple of days ago.
Yes.
A part of me believes he was martyred by his own people as part of a bigger goal to rile up the left in the hope that the left will almost push back violently to justify Trump suspending certain civil liberties to say, I am protecting you from yourselves.
Yeah.
Because you guys can't control yourselves. So a part of me believes he might have been martyred by his own people. That who do we sacrifice? To piss people off.
To piss people off, yeah. But I don't think Americans generally or in majority are pissed off with this assassin. Maybe some racist right-wingers.
No, but a lot of the right will be upset with the left now.
Yes.
Because they're going to assume the left
did
this.
did it, yeah.
You see?
That you steer a problem, you steer trouble. But the 9/11 example, coincidentally, on the same date, the 9th of September,
yes,
the greatest liberation army in South Africa was born. By the way, APLA was formed from Biko to be formed on the 9th of September. But and now this 9/11 thing. You can go and watch those videos again. I've watched them over and over. I've read a lot of conspiracy theories, and I still say there is no way those jets would have been hijacked with the American military systems, and they could have not seen that happening in their own country. It won't surprise me if people come out one day and tell the truth that America actually bombed themselves.
Similar to the conversation me and you had about October 7.
Yes.
That with the airtight
security
intelligence that they have, there's no way October 7th happened without a single person knowing that it's happening. And for me, it almost smells like they open the door to let them in, so that they can justify everything that is happening right now.
And to take so many hostages. I mean, how many hostages were taken on October 7th? I think it's more than 50 or 100 hostages. So many people that they claim Hamas kidnapped them and moved them out with, as you said, with their security. But sick warmongers in the world, they will do such things in order to steer the war. They will sacrifice their own. They'll sacrifice their people. People who studied, war history, they will tell of instances where a military will actually, in order for something to erupt, will take some of their own people. Yes. There has been reports, for example, coming out of Ukraine, that the Ukraine forces were killing some of their own people in order to justify their lament, to say Russia is killing civilians while it's them doing it. So that's what warmongers do. They will do anything under the sun, but
by any means to create a narrative, or to sustain it.
Yes, to create an. And I looked on X or Twitter or former Twitter how people, particularly my own people in South Africa, reacted to the assassination of Charlie and all that. And South Africans were like, rest. People were like, rest, not rest in peace, rest. Because this guy has actually been in the forefront of negative racist talks about South Africa. And I said, he's actually the guy who was talking about what Solidarity and AfriForum has said. He's the AfriForum of the United States. And
he's divisive, he's hateful. He's
very hateful person.
He's got right-wing Nazi tendencies. And like one person said in a post, I don't agree that we should kill people who disagree with, but Charlie would not mind the fact that he went out the way he did, based on how he said, for us to have our liberties, some people will have to die. Some people will have to perish from guns. And I agree that if I don't agree with you, I don't wish death on you. But if now you're fine with people dying as a sacrifice, then we'll respect that you wanted that.
If he wants to be seen as a hero who died, I don't know for what. The nice thing with this whole thing that happened in the US, with this racist person, he was killed by his white person, brother. What? If he was a black person, he would have justified what he has been saying, to say black people are barbaric, black people are murderers, we must arm ourselves against them. But his own people, for me, whether it's a Republican or a right-wing or what, but it's his people who have committed this crime. But again, and in full view of cameras, they were sending a very strong message. When you do that in full view of cameras, they don't wait at night, they don't wait for you in your house or what they do. You're sitting there and addressing people and talking about how people should arm themselves against criminals who are black people in his books, and they take you out while you are doing that. So they were sending a very strong message.
Let's wrap up with the global wave of protests, because there's a global wave of protests. It almost feels like the world is resetting itself. It almost feels like people are saying we've had enough. There's almost a shift in status quo, even in nations where you thought these people are pro-Israel, for argument's sake. People are standing up now and saying, listen, you put the wool over our eyes long enough, enough.
It's enough, yes.
And it's almost on every continent that people are rising up and saying we've had enough.
Talking of it, last night or the day before, even in Nepal, the protest went up. They banned Parliament and all those things. And to say this Parliament is actually creating problems for us. I mean, Nepal, whoever imagined the people of Nepal will go on a protest against their own regime? But first, these protests that are happening all over the world, it's not only anti-Israel like it happened in Mexico. The people of Mexico, they actually took up the streets in hundreds of thousands.
Yeah, those are huge.
That was,
huge
for me,
protest.
it was the biggest. Well,
Yes.
Mexico is one of the biggest populations in the world. But that was one of the biggest, in my eyes, the biggest I've ever seen anti-Israel protest. But there's also protests happening in many countries against their own regimes, and it has nothing to do with Israel. It's happening in France. President Macron is under fire for appointing a prime minister against the will of the people. And we have seen protests for the last 2 weeks happening in what we call this country in Asia, in Indonesia. Those protests are still happening. So more and more people are rising all over the world to protest against the injustices that are, dished to them by their own government. So I think it's a reset. The people are tired. The people are not sitting and looking at politicians anymore with their promises, with their lies and everything. People are rising. We have seen in South Africa quite a number of people standing up and protesting against service delivery, particularly for water. In South Africa, it's a different ball game. The people of Gauteng are standing up, particularly in Johannesburg, and saying they are demanding water, something that is protected. It's a constitutional right to have water. It's also a human need, despite the right. Let's forget the rights to water and what. It's a need for me to drink water, to live, to be hydrated. You understand? So it's a challenge that the world is faced with, that I think more and more people or civil society are realizing that politicians are actually misgoverning them. Politicians are not the people we should have entrusted with our lives. They don't care, and they make decisions that are negatively impacting on people's life. And I'm one of the people who have said, I don't understand how did the world arrive at the point where politicians determine things for us. They make decisions for us.
We've almost reached a point of hero worshipping civil servants.
Yeah.
Because long and the short, you're a civil servant.
Yes.
You're my servant. You're my servant. I should have the blue light, not you.
Yeah, exactly.
And we often see it in especially social democracies like Scandinavia, where your politicians ride on the bus with you. They take the train with you.
Yes.
One, because the system works. So it's good enough for me because it's good enough for my people.
They have made the system
The
work.
system works. But the minute you need to protect yourself from your own people, maybe there's a problem.
I mentioning that fresh, I looked this week at President Ramaphosa answering questions in Parliament, just to talk to what you are saying. And the Action SA leader, Trollip, addressed him regarding cutting the cabinet and the ministers and all that. And he said to President Ramaphosa, one of the things that Action SA is bringing to the table, it's this thing of cutting the cost and the blue lights and all that, because those resources can be used for the people. And I looked at the president giggling there, smiling and saying, no, I wish to cut this cabinet according to you, but I can't because the GNU was born, therefore I have to blow to the government. What utter nonsense is that? You can't say you increase the number or the size of the cabinet or the executive authority because there's a GNU. Or that cannot be the reason.
Yeah, but surely the size of the cabinet should be proportional to the need.
Yes.
And if one person can serve 3 cabinet roles, then you must reduce it, whittle it down to 1.
Absolutely, and get rid of all this thing. And when he was saying that, I'm sitting there and I'm looking at those MPs. There's a disjuncture. There's a problem in our parliamentary system. That when you want to ask the president question, you want to hold the president accountable, there's no consequences. I don't know if I'm making sense. In other words, somebody asks the president a question, the president responds or refuses to respond or talks nonsense. And it's okay, next question or next speaker. What effect does it have, this whole colonial judicial system, or not judicial, what do you call it, parliamentary system? You understand what I'm saying? You ask the president a question, you question his conduct or his behavior. He answers and it ends there.
It's almost like it's asked, answered, next.
Yes.
Versus, can we fix or change something or have some sort of movement?
Or even hold you accountable.
Yes.
Mr. President, you said you will deliver 1 million jobs in 6 months. It's over 2 years. You haven't. What are the consequences? Therefore, you are not fit to be sitting there. Move, let the next person come. But we have commissions, we've got questions, we've got these blue lights and all that. And I always sit and say, I think of Mbeki the other day saying that people who want to kill him is feeling unsafe. This man was a police commissioner. When we have been saying he was a police commissioner and a police minister. Understand? At some stage. And he says, people want to kill him. People want to kill us every day in this country. Every day, people want to kill us for one reason or the other. Now, reality is hitting at home because he doesn't have bodyguards. I mean, he should afford bodyguards. He made a lot of money being in the state for many years. He must get himself bodyguards. But I'm saying these politicians are not in touch with reality. And that's why the civil society is rising all over the world to say, not in our name, or we have had enough, we can't be doing this anymore.
Yeah.
I think the people are arriving at that point to say, it's our taxes, it's our country, and it's us, the inhabitants of the country. Let us stop pretending like these politicians will ever give us jobs, food, and water. It's not going to come from those people. They come and they go, and they don't care. I like what Action SA has done. EFF had tried to do it way back in 2014 to say, they've put a proposal, Dr. Letlapi, is it Dr. Letlapi? Yes, in Parliament, that MPs must start going to public hospitals.
Yeah, but we've been saying for the longest time that, until our education, our healthcare, and our security are good enough for them, they'll never be good enough for us.
Yes.
If you're not going to eat the meal I'm eating, then you've prepared a shit meal for me.
I still don't understand this whole thing of political office bearers with blue lights, trackers, pushing us off the lanes, pushing us off the road. What is it that has made a person who was knocking at my door 2 days ago to knock and say, can you vote for my political party? After they rise into the position, they are suddenly protected and they want to be killed. And it is because you have lied to the people. It is because you have misled the people. You are actually fearing for your conduct, not because people want to kill you. You are fearing that I misled people. And therefore, I'm now already important that I must have 2 bodyguards with blue lights wherever I go at all times.
Or a nation has become increasingly lawless on your watch, so you don't feel safe because of the lawlessness that we must live through every day.
And you have the power to can make people feel safe in the society. I mean, the other day, me and you, we spoke about the Cape Flats violence and all that. For God's sake, that thing is a war. It's a war what is happening in Cape Town. And you have an army. The purpose of the army is to rise when the country is at war. Why are we not deploying our military to the Cape Flats to save lives? I don't know. I don't understand. The police can't cope. They don't have the resources.
I'm going to put my neck on the line and say not only to save lives, but to also deal with those who think it's okay to shoot at cops and the army.
Yeah.
Because that's another way of actually just getting them out of the system.
Yes.
If you want to shoot at the system, then maybe the system should show you that actually we've got bigger guns.
Yeah.
We've got bigger guns.
But that's enforcing the law. That's saying eradicate these murderers who are killing. I mean, in the last 2 months, 16 kids were killed in Cape Town due to gang violence and people shooting each other. Stray bullets, killing kids. And don't talk about adults who have died there with this whole time. Why is the police commissioner and the president and the deputy president still sitting in boardrooms to determine how to solve gang violence in the Cape Flats when it has been happening for so long? We know what's the problem. You know, so we know what's the problem. Why are we not declaring the South African National Defence Force into that society? That society in the Cape Flats or any other place will actually welcome the soldiers on their streets. They will welcome them. They will not see them as the enemy. And the country is under siege from criminals. And we are still sitting in boardrooms and trying to think, what can we do?
I will even adopt a platoon who can come and eat at my house. They can park the tank there or the hippo or if they want to bring a Royal Falcon, I've got space.
Yeah.
I will gladly adopt them where they can have meals on me. But can people feel safe?
Yeah. No,
we're done.
Thanks, Fresh. Thank you very much.
Where do we find you on social media?
botsang@gmail.com on email, and then you can WhatsApp me on 083-884-7787 and on social media handles @botsangm, all of them.
And that is all she wrote. We're done. We will see you again in exactly a week. Another episode of Wow What a Week, #Politricks is in the bag. Coming to you live from Discover TV out in 4 ways. Book Discover TV. Discover with an R, not an ER at the end. Discover TV. It's an incredible studio. You can use it to record your podcast, your studio session if you want to record a DJ set even. They're perfect for that. Even your music video could be shot in here. Maybe you want to do a tiny table performance. They'll sort everything out for you. Trevor and his crew at Pezulu Works, shout out to you. And Keletso Modisa King, our executive producer. Most importantly, you for watching, subscribing, sharing, and everything else that you do. And I think even more importantly, engaging in the comments, agreeing, disagreeing, crying, swearing, whatever emotion you're feeling. We just want you to feel an emotion. Whether you agree with us or not is neither here nor there. Till next week, have a great week in spite of yourselves. We're out of here.